For years, there has been a policy in many areas of public education that students are not allowed to wear hats in school. Exeter High School is typical not simply in the no hat rule, but with a consistency in the fact that there is no school uniform. This raises an even more interesting question than why should or shouldn't we be allowed to wear a hat in school, but rather why have hats been singled out? There are two reasons why people have a predisposed dislike to the wearing of hats in the school. The first one is because it imposes on safety of students through concealing of their identity as well as creating a gang group mentality, which also leaves students at greater risk of exclusion. The other reason is that it goes against tradition and is considered impolite. We don't have school uniforms here. Why are hats singled out in the dress code?
You usually try to find a level that's acceptable, and apparently the hat rule is one of those things that if you just allow them to have anything they want, then it gets out of hand. So they have drawn the line with hats, and that was long before I was here, but that's usually the way it is in most schools.
There are no hats. Yeah, you can't wear stuff on your head. It's illegal. I want to see our heads, man. Your beautiful hair, PJ.
I guess it's kind of the, like the history. You don't wear them in church, but you wear them outside. But then, like for ladies, you wear them inside and you don't wear them outside. And I guess they're trying to take that custom into schools.
Because teachers think they're disrespectful.
I have no idea. Because they're dangerous.
If the rule is changed so hats are allowed but only outside the classroom, will hats be a hindrance to student learning?
Well, hats can be a distraction. I mean, any kind of clothing can be a distraction, and I think at some point someone deemed the hat thing to be a big distraction, so to just not have them takes that distraction away, which by default would make it easier to teach your class, make the school run, and so forth.
I don't think, I taught in a school where hats were allowed, and it never bothered me or became an issue. I mean, if someone came in with like a top hat or a sombrero or cat in the hat, that might be disruptive, but I think once it became part of the culture of the school, I don't think it would be all that disruptive.
As long as there is no issue with security or safety or identification of students in maybe a dangerous or a confrontational situation.
I don't think it would be disruptive to learning. I think that's what your basic question is. I don't think it would be.
The student handbook clearly states that students are not to be told not to wear clothes on the basis of violation of social norm. According to the American Heritage Dictionary, polite means duly respectful or indulgent with people according to their social norms. How is saying wearing hats is impolite a justification for a rule?
I mean, I'll give you an example. Wearing a bathing suit at the beach is perfectly acceptable, right? But if you come in here with just a bathing suit on, someone's going to send you home. It just depends where you are. And in a school, been deemed that hats are a big distraction, and so to not have them takes that away.
I guess I fall victim to socialization a little bit in that, the older I've gotten, the more I understand it feeling rude, being rude for someone to wear a hat indoors. Couldn't give you a rational explanation why.
Well, I mean, in that case, I believe you're getting a top-down directive that the school's social norm is that there are no hats. And that would be in part of the polite definition, which is social norm and deference. So the school has said that is the social norm. Now, can an institution dictate a social norm? That's a totally different question. But I believe that's where the tie-in there comes from.
What is the purpose of the social norm of students not wearing hats, and how is it helpful to others?
It's one of many things. I mean, if you go back a few years, wasn't hats. Kids were wearing those chain wallets. I don't know if you remember that. And I was at the middle school then, and even before that, to junior high, we had to stop that because that became a big distraction. So as administration, you kind of pick and choose the things that you think are going to be distractions and how much of a battle you want to fight to keep kids from doing that. I mean, cell phones could be one too, so they kind of made a compromise on that, allowing you to have cell phones and iPods or whatever those things are, but you just can't use them in classes. So, I mean, sometimes you kind of meet the kids halfway. It's just that everything is different, and every issue that comes up, there's no rule that can fit them all, so you just kind of deal with it as it comes along.
Well, again, it's a security issue. We have to be able to see what kids are doing And sometimes when kids wear hats, we can't see what they're going to do. We have to protect students, we have to protect ourselves.
So we have this kind of tradition rooted in hat wearing, where it's for the outdoors and not for the indoors, same as a raincoat.
Is telling students not to wear hats show that they respect the administration, or does it show that they must submit to their rules, or does it imply something different?
I don't think it has anything to do with too much of anything else other than that it's not my personal rule, it's a school rule, so as an administrator here, you enforce it within reason. Most of the time I don't tell kids to take the hat off, I just point it, I do something like this and they know and they just take it off. I mean, kids are pretty good here. So I've never had it turn into a battle with anyone, and it shouldn't, it's just a hat.
Fair enough.
It's a good question. I know in inner city schools, hats in different colors have been representative of gangs. I don't think that would be an issue here. Again, I think it goes back to deference to the school and the building more than anything else, and that since you are here to be conducting the business of a student, you're here to do business, and part of that is having deference to the institution.
Submitting is a cathartic experience that results in developing a degree of respect for boundaries and structure and your relationship to those boundaries and structure.
As for respect for the administration, I don't know how much of it they deserve, but what little they do earn has nothing to do with the dress code.
It's different than any other rule. The administration has a rule, and they expect it to be followed, and then they expect the teachers to enforce it.
In the student handbook, it says students cannot wear hats because of health reasons. What are the health detriments of wearing hats in school?
I don't know about that. I mean, if you wore a stocking hat or a winter hat off season, I mean, it could be a health reason for that. I mean, just like if you wear a jacket all the time, it gets sweaty and all that sort of thing. But I don't think wearing a hat has I don't know of any health reason why you couldn't. So I don't think that, if it's part of the rule, that was way before me.
I really don't know what that refers to.
Cool. Lice is fun, but I mean, lice, could spread without the hats, but it's easier for it to spread with a hat, I think, because they have a way of transferring from head to head and sort of a third-party receptacle that can hold the little critters, and the eggs.
Like pollinating flowers with bees.
Totally. So there's that, and then there's the general, some people, the hat is part of they consider it the same thing as putting on whatever, a pair of underpants. So but their hat, consequently, maybe it's got mud from camping all summer, and it's got, whatever else sort of funk going on in the hat. It's all rained on, and there's mold tucked up in where it's ripped to the bill, but nobody knows, and the mold has, like, the super secret, you know what I mean? It's like The Stand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like Stephen King.
Oh, yeah.
You and I would live through that, though, I know.
First thing that comes to mind is lice. I know that's a problem in the younger grades, but I couldn't speak to that because I don't know.
Wouldn't it make sense that if it were a health risk, that it would be allowed, so you could teach students about the potential problems with hats if you misuse them in a controlled environment, rather than just letting them figure it out on their own?
Yeah, you could if it was, but that's never been an issue for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the health risks are, so it's hard for me to answer that question.
Why are we allowed to wear hats on Spirit Days?
It's, again, meeting kids halfway, allowing you to do something you can't always do, to kind of show that the school is human, that we do, we're not trying to be ogres, we're just trying to run the school.
I believe my guess would be to show, again, deference to the institution, in this case by supporting your class versus just wearing a hat because you want to. I think it would also be part of a reward for Spirit Week.
On Spirit Days, I think they let you wear hats to boost student morale, get you excited about something.